Hello, everyone. My name is Sade, the curator, founder, and operator of Between Here and There, a Thrive based consulting business surrounding global hygiene. We define global hygiene as the cleanliness and health of the planet, as our planet is a sentience. It's interconnected and interwoven with systems which affect one another. What we do can either uplift, stabilize, or diminish these systems. So we have a call to duty, and that call to duty, we're going to push through that mission, achieve the mission, and pass it to generations to come. So today on the Gregorian calendar, it is 2023, July 19th at approximately 13:26 on the East Coast here in the Northern Hemisphere, North America. And today the topic is electric cars. Okay, we talk about like clean energy and what is clean energy, and are we doing a better service to the planet because we're using electric vehicles? Think about it. With anything, I want you to gather the information that you have, organize it in your mind or either on paper, and fill in the details. And always ask the why. Okay. And the reason why I say ask the why is when we talk about electric cars are supposed to be a better replacement for diesel and gasoline fuel vehicles. That is the vehicle to move us from point A to point B. It used to be other animals and things of that sort. We have moved into a technology in which we create and curate those vehicles. So with a electric vehicle using electric energy, you can trace that to nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is said to be a more cleaner energy. However, it uses our most essential element, water. And that's not to place any other elements beneath it, but how our system is set up, it runs on water. When corporations are locating other planets, one of those being NASA and other organizations throughout the world, which they have, of course, different names in different countries, they're looking for planets that have water. So, in the nuclear energy process, the cooling and processing of those nuclear reactions, because there's energy released that is used and converted into the energy that you use when you plug your electric vehicle into a charging port. So let's slow that down here because I know I gave you a lot of information and I want to ensure that you understand it and you don't, get lost in the sauce when it comes to understanding this process. So, when you're charging your electric vehicle, you are using energy. When you turn on the lights, when you cook a meal, there's an energy exchange. Even if that meal is cooked on a charcoal grill, there's an energy that is not being created nor destroyed. However, it's being transferred or activated because of the elements there. So with charcoal, that would be fire, activating that um, energy in that substance. So think about what can you do to find a different route. Okay, so list the benefits of your choices. And that's not for me to say completely do away with electric vehicles, because I do believe if we were harnessing energy differently, an electric vehicle would be essential and necessary. However, we are using nuclear energy, which uses large amounts of water. When that water is used in those systems, some chemicals can be dissolved in those waters and further discharged back into our watersheds, which cleanses our waters and leaks into our freshwater systems. Our freshwater systems we use for waste and also drinkable or potable sources. So, I would like for you to weigh the pros and cons with anything. A lot of instruction and training that I'm going to release and that you're going to have access to, I'm always going to encourage your own inner compass and your thought process for you to make the best decisions moving forward. So, with electric vehicles, what I feel, since we use nuclear energy, if you're able to have some sort of solar charging port, you live in the desert area where it would make sense to have nuclear energy, excuse me, solar energy as a form of energy collection, which everyone should be harnessing the sun's energy to some form of fashion, whether that be in the human body as vitamin D or it being transferred into something that's a bit more usable, such as the energies we use to power our systems and electronics. So, what can we do about it? What we can do about it is research first, okay? So, what is going to be the benefit for you moving into an electric vehicle? Where are these charging stations? How are these charging stations getting their energy? What companies are in the area? Nuclear energy companies are in the area, and what have they done as far as being stewards of the planet? Have they have Do they have citations and legalities charges faced against them because they have mishandled chemicals, mishandled water systems, mishandled the people of this planet? So finding that out, what you want to do with your vehicle, because that's very important. Um, with any type of vehicle, whether it be a project, a physical vehicle, or yourself as a vehicle, you need to be able to understand what you want to do with it. So with a electric vehicle, because it's coming from nuclear energy, it's not as strong because it's converted from its original source to another form of energy. Again, it cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred. So it's transferred into a different type of energy source to be consumed by the vehicle, and therefore it's not as strong. So if you've noticed, there aren't many electric Jeeps, and Jeep in the sense of a small SUV, excuse me, because that's also a brand. It's not in SUVs, trucks, large vehicles. It's not there because the energy source isn't as strong as its original source, which is nuclear energy dealing with chemical reactions. So, where are you going? What do you want to do with it? Are you inner city and you're just maneuvering to and fro and you don't need a lot? You much rather ride your bike. However, you have to transport things. You need to add things into your vehicle and be able to transport them. So, those questions you're asking yourself. When to implement this? When you're thinking about purchasing another vehicle. And I think that's something that should always be in the forefront of your mind. Whether it's your physical body, your vehicle, what do you want to do with it? So you have to get your physical body into a certain state to where it can propel forward. If you're in stagnation, if you're not moving in constant motion, some form of motion, then you need to be able to direct and say, okay, it's time for a change. So you get up and you work out. Now, when it comes to a drive a vehicle, a physical vehicle, which the body's physical as well, but it's more the spirit is directing the physical. So when you have a physical vehicle, You need to think, what is the longevity of that vehicle? Have I been keeping up with it? The maintenance of it? Do I have current issues with it? So if so, I need to create a timeline and say, okay, pretty soon I'm going to be looking for another option. What are going to be the best options for me? What are the things that I actually want in this vehicle, and how would that benefit the planet? Because that's the beginning and end of it. That vehicle has a life of itself. What is going to happen to that vehicle when you no longer have use for it? It's damaged, it needs to be towed or something to that effect. Okay, so a lot of these, I was going to say ingredients, but a lot of these materials in these electric vehicles aren't able to be reprocessed or reused. So, and then how to be the change is seeing what's going to be your truth of what you need, because there's always going to be marketing. There's entire studies on marketing and psychology and how to reach certain groups of people to encourage them on whatever purchase or whatever ideal the company or the individual has. So therefore there will be a lot of promotion on, there'll be a lot of pull you in type of information that may feel like, oh, this is the best route to go. But when you arm yourself with information, you're able to say, okay, I've done my research, because that was number one. I've done my research, and therefore, this is the best decision for me. And plan out what exactly do you want in your vehicle? What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? The feeling is very important. What do you want it to feel like? I want to feel like when I go crank my vehicle up after I've, did the first pre-checks on it, make sure my tires are good, make sure there's oil in it, make sure there's fuel, windshield wiper fluid. After I do all those checks, I want to be able to crank my vehicle and it runs. Like, those are the things we want to focus on. What do you want that to look like? Because when it comes to the electric vehicles, we're just right currently how we're doing it, we're just tapping more into our nuclear energy source, which is tapping more into our water source. So these are some bits of information I want you to think about and to put in your Rolodex of information and guidance to for you to make the best decision. So I believe that's it when it comes to that. We can move into a more electric. It's electric. Boogie woogie woogie. We can move into a more electric consumption population, but we have to be able to extract that energy properly without biodegrading the planet. We need to be able to convert that energy into something that's going to still be strong, which personally I believe there needs to be an additional reaction that occurs within whatever vehicle. So you're extracting the energy, it's going into the vehicle. There needs to be a secondary reaction, which there is a secondary when you're igniting, when you're turning the vehicle. But in that case, it will be a third reaction to increase the energy and therefore deplete it. Versus our current one with gasoline is there is a set amount of energy and it's just depleted from there. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Um, I appreciate your time, your energy, your thrive to a better planet, better interactions with humans, plants, and animals. We're here for a reason, and thank you for doing your part.